Hello, Marilyn.
Too many buttons to click.
No.
I'm unmuted.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Judge, we were just testing to make sure that we could hear each other.
Yeah, I didn't click enough buttons.
Fair enough. All right. And are you guys ready on the Clopper estate?
Yes.
All right. Before we get started, and we're not on the record just yet, I've noticed in the order that Ms. Clopper is listed as the sole heir. And I think technically, because there are children born of their marriage, there's some interest there in terms of separate property. So do you think you can get me and I know usually there is no separate property, but just to be technical on it, can you get me an order that
Sure.
the children's?
Yes, Judge, but just so you know, there is no separate property.
Understood. I
Okay.
understand. All right. And I will call case number 200406P. This is the estate of Charles Clopper. And we have Mr. Rex Baker here for the applicant. And we have ad litem Marilyn Miller. It looks like we have one witness, Miss Patricia Long, and do you have a second witness?
Yeah, yes, Londa, her sister.
Okay, great. And all right, we're ready to proceed. May I ask that our witnesses please raise your right hand?
That's both of them. Yeah. Also, that Patricia, you too. There we go. Oh, she does. Sorry.
All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, yes, I do. Yes.
All right. Please proceed.
Thank you. Would you please state your name for the court?
Charlotte Clopper.
Okay. And how were you related to the deceased?
He is my husband.
All right. Is it true that Charles Robert Clopper died on October 24th, 2020 at Baylor Scott and White in Austin, Texas at the age of 55?
Yes.
It's also true, obviously, that 4 years have not elapsed since the date of his death. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And is it true that your husband was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Hayes County, Texas at the time of his death?
Yes,
And as you said, you are his spouse.
I am.
Okay. And at the time of his death, y'all were still married, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it true you have personal knowledge of the financial affairs of your husband?
Yes.
And is it also true a necessity exists for the administration of his estate in order to sell and pay debts?
Yes.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, is it true that your husband died without a will?
Yes.
Okay. And you are named, are you entitled to receive letters of independent administration, and you are not disqualified by law to act as the independent administrator? Is that true?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. And do you want to call your next witness?
Sure. Let's call Londa Marie. Let me move it around. There we go. Can you see her, Judge?
Yes.
Okay. Could you please state your name for the court?
I'm Londa Marie Long.
Okay. And is it true that you live at 8119 West Cave Circle, Dripping Springs, Texas?
Yes,
And is it true that you're personally familiar with the family and marital history of Charles Robert Clopper?
yes, I am.
Okay. Is it true that you've known the deceased from that's my birthday, from January 16th, 1964 until October 24th, 2020?
Yes,
And is it true to your knowledge that he died on October 24th of 2020?
yes,
Okay. And is it true that he died at Baylor Scott and White in Austin, Travis County, Texas?
yes,
And also, is it true at the time of his death, he had a fixed place of residence at 190 Wine Cup Way in Hayes County, Texas?
yes,
Okay. And is it true to the best of your knowledge, he was married to Charlotte Clopper?
yes,
And is it your testimony that he was not married to anyone else?
yes,
Okay. And they were married at the time of his death?
yes, sir.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, did Mr. Clopper have 3 children, namely Charles Bryant Clopper, Richard Michael Clopper, and Eric Robert Clopper?
Yes,
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, did he die without a will?
yes,
And is it true that you have no interest in the estate?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, are you ready to call your next witness?
Yes. Patricia, you ready? Okay, we can see you. Okay. Would you please state your name for the court?
Patricia Lynn Long.
Okay. Is it true that you live at 5435 Chevy Chase in Houston, Texas?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it true that you have personal knowledge of the family and marital history of Charles Robert Clopper?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And is it true that you knew him from December 16th, 1964 until his death in October 24th, 2020?
Yes.
Okay. And is it true, to the best of your knowledge, that he died in Austin, Travis County, Texas?
Yes.
And it's also true, excuse me, at the time of his death, he resided at 190 Wine Cup Way, Austin, not Austin, but Hayes County, Texas.
Yes.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, was he married to Charlotte Clopper at the time of his death?
Yes.
Was he married, to your knowledge, was he married to anyone else?
No.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, he had three children, namely Charles Bryant Clopper, Richard Michael Clopper, and Eric Robert Clopper.
That's correct.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, do you know if, well, is it true that, to the best of your knowledge, that he did not have a will?
But to the best of my knowledge, true.
Okay. And you have no interest in the estate, is that true?
I do not have any interest.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll pass it to Ms. Miller.
Ms. Miller, I'm sorry, do you want me to, or would you like to recall Ms. Londa Long?
No, Your Honor. This is the same information that she gave to me when we spoke. And actually, I didn't speak to Wanda. I spoke to the applicant and two other witnesses, including Patty Long. And unless things have changed, I don't have any questions of them.
Very well. Now, in terms of bond, I don't see evidence right this second of the nature and amount of property. Mr. Baker, do you want to elaborate on the record?
Yes, give me 1 second to pull it up. Let me see. Oh, thank you. The great thing about doing stuff in your office is you're paralegal can bring stuff while you're fumbling. The estate has a value of approximately $550,000. 660 of that is their residence. But we would ask that there be no bond.
Is there authority for me to set the bond at zero?
Yes.
And what authority are we looking at?
Well, I mean, the judge's discretion.
Okay. So States Code Section 305.152, my understanding is I'm to consider the amount of cash on hand and where it's deposited, the amount of cash estimated to be needed for administrative purposes, including operation of any business, factory, farm, or ranch owned by the estate, the revenue anticipated to be received in the succeeding 12 months from dividends, interest, rentals, or use of property belonging to the estate, the estimated value of certificates of stocks, bonds, notes, or other securities of the estate, base value of the life insurance or other policies payable to the person on whose estate administration is sought, the estimated value of other property, and estimated value of debts owing by the estate.
Well, Your Honor, there's about $100,000 in four different accounts, of which they're joint accounts with the wife. And there's real estate in the amount of $460,000. And there's two vehicles in the combined amount of approximately $18,000.
And Your Honor, if I might, and I don't mean to intrude, but I think there's a provision in the code that the distributees can waive the bond. And I don't know that anything was filed on that, but as ad litem, I have no objection to that if the distributee or distributees want to waive that.
Okay. So I noticed on the judgment, we also need to add some language in terms of separate property, even though I understand that there's probably no separate property. But since we need to add some language to the judgment, Mr. Baker, would you be willing to file in the clerk's file waivers indicating that the sons are waiving bond?
Sure, be happy to do that.
Very well. All right, so I am going to take this case under advisement. Let's see. I do conclude that I have jurisdiction and venue is proper in this court. I find that Mr. Klopper died intestate and there is a necessity for administration of his estate. I find by clear and convincing evidence that his heirs are his 3 children and his wife. And the sticking point at this point is whether or not bond will be set and whether the distributees will waive bond. Once I have that information on file, I will revisit.
I have no idea. I turned my phone off, Judge, and somehow my computer picked it up. I apologize.
That's all right. Your computer's smarter than us.
I didn't know it would do that.
All right. And once that information's on file with the clerk's file and you all have submitted an altered judgment, then I will revisit this case and enter the order. Is there anything else, Mr. Baker, on this case?
No, Judge, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And Ms. Klopper, I'm very sorry for your loss. And Ms. Long, I'm very sorry for the loss of your brother. I hope you guys have a good day.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Judge.
Y'all are excused. Mr. Allen, do I need to tell you that I'm going to keep the Klopper file while waiting for them to clear the deficiencies, or is it just checked out to me right now anyway, so it doesn't matter? Okay. And I don't see anyone else in our Zoom, but I guess the next one said it's 10:30, that's why. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Right. And Mr. Wright, are you ready on the Thrasher estate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well, then I'll call the case. Case number 210152P. This is in the estate of Julian William Thrasher Jr., deceased. And we have Mr. Terry Wright for the applicant. And who we have here as witnesses?
We have one witness, and it is Michael Allen Thrasher.
Very well.
And we also, Judge, we have Julian William Thrasher III also. He's one of the co-executors appointed, but he will not be testifying.
Very well. If you would, Mr. Thrasher, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed, Mr. Wright.
Okay, thank you. Mike, I'll ask you a series of questions, and you can just respond by yes or no answers, or however you'd like to respond. First off, can you state your name for the record?
Yes, Michael Allen Thrasher.
Okay. And is it correct that Julian William Thrasher Jr. passed away on March 28th, 2021 in New Braunfels, Comal County, Texas, at the age of 90 years, and 4 years have not elapsed since the date of Mr. Thrasher's death?
Yes,
Is it correct that Mr. Thrasher was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Hayes County, Texas at the time of his passing?
yes,
Is it correct that the document that is dated March 23rd, 1989, which purports to be Mr. Thrasher's will, was never revoked as far as you know?
yes,
And is it correct that the document that's dated May 22nd, 2003, which purports to be Mr. Thrasher's first codicil to his will, was never revoked as far as you know?
yes,
Is it correct that a necessity exists for the administration of this estate?
yes,
And is it correct that no child or children were born to or adopted by Mr. Thrasher after the date of the will and the date of the codicil?
yes,
Is it correct that Mr. Thrasher was married to Jenny Lindsay Newton Thrasher on June 20th, 1953 in Ward County, Texas, and remained married to her for 61 years until the date of her passing on November 9th, 2014?
yes,
And is it correct that Mr. Thrasher was later married to Bonnie Croom Ashley on April 30th, 2016 in Blanco County, Texas, and on or about December 11th, 2018, which date is after the date of Mr. Thrasher's will and first codicil, that Mr. Thrasher's marriage to Bonnie Croom Ashley Thrasher was dissolved by divorce by an order on the same date signed by the judge presiding in the 143rd District Court of Ward County, Texas, and that Mr. Thrasher was unmarried at the date of his death?
yes,
Okay. Is it correct that that neither the state of Texas nor a governmental agency or a charitable organization is named as a devisee in the will or first codicil of Mr. Thrasher?
yes,
Is it correct that under Mr. Thrasher's will, that Mr. Thrasher appointed his wife, Jenny Newton Thrasher, to serve without bond as independent executrix, but Jenny Newton Thrasher predeceased Mr. Thrasher, and as successors, Mr. Thrasher appointed his sons, being you, Michael Allen Thrasher, and Julian William Thrasher III, to serve without bond as independent co-executors?
yes,
And is it correct that neither you nor Julian William Thrasher III are disqualified by law from accepting letters testamentary or from serving as independent co-executors of this estate, and that you and Julian William Thrasher III are entitled to such letters testamentary?
yes,
I have nothing further, Judge.
Well, based on your testimony and after reviewing the pleadings and law, I'm granting your application. I'm ordering the will admitted to probate, and I'm appointing you both as independent executors to serve without bond pursuant to your father's will. And I'm assuming Mr. Wright's familiar with how to interact with the clerk to sign testimony and the oath and to receive the letters. You will need to give notice to the devisees under the will and file proof through your attorney of the notice. And within 90 days, you have a requirement to file an inventory and appraisement list of claims, or depending on the circumstances, an affidavit instead of the inventory. But I'm very sorry for your loss. And is there anything further, Mr. Wright?
No, Your Honor. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. I'm signing the order now, and I hope you guys have a good day. Your
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Your Honor.